include platform. So we have a true platform offering, and that offering includes what you would call an enterprise system with a full accounting suite, both insurance accounting and general ledger accounting, policy administration, a CRM, a customer relationship management solution is included in that. And that platform offers an increased amount as we transform into this next day of Applied into open APIs as well, so that we can have a true open platform with multiple integrations. We also have point solutions. So Applied has over about 20 different solutions today in the market, and those point solutions may serve a specific purpose. Perhaps it's in a specific part of the workflow. We have a number of SaaS products that are SaaS native, and we also have products that are not. So we have client server products today still in the market, and we also have a number of products of various types. Let's see, I think the only other thing that I'll mention that's important to know is that on this call, we have a number of people that directly engage in that software development every single day. But we also wanted to make sure that we represented what an enterprise software company looks like in real life. So the people that are here today include folks from the recruiting side of the house. We also have people from the operations side of the house. And hopefully we'll share with you all of the different roles that you can consider when you're thinking about working in a software organization. So again, my name is Sarah Ratcliffe, she, they pronouns, and I am in product management, and my day-to-day world is focused around the what and why. In product management, I get to determine what our core strategy is for some of our solutions, and then work hard with the development team to make sure that we can execute on that. I think of my responsibility starting with the problem at the customer, determining how to go to market, all the way through the development cycle, and then thinking about how our customers are going to adopt it and how we're going to measure success. I'm going to turn it over to my pal Mark, who's going to introduce himself next.
Thanks, Sarah. My name is Mark Van Dyke. I'm one of the vice presidents in development. I've been with Applied for over 25 years. He, him are my pronouns. Besides leading the products that I oversee, really my job is to make sure that my teams are successful, ensuring that they can get their work done day to day. I remove obstacles and things to make sure they're productive, give them the right tools and resources to do their job well, and to focus on the long-term goals. It's easy for the developers to get caught up in the day to day, so I need to make sure for the long vision and make sure the product is following that. So with that, I'll turn it over to David.
Great, thank you, Mark. David Gerlach, he, him pronoun. I am the Vice President of the Information Security Program. A lot of people know that just by what's been in the news lately with the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attacks, but we do more than just securing the infrastructure and securing applied systems. We really need to ensure we're complying with various regulatory bodies that are out there, both from a privacy and security perspective. So my team and I, we lead those initiatives. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jason Watt.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jason Watt. I'm the Senior Manager of Talent Acquisition for Applied Systems, and my job is to bring in the best and the brightest people to Applied Systems and get them excited about working here, and everything around the recruiting aspect, but then also how we market our jobs and just go after and attracting and retaining the best talent in the business. I'm going to turn it over to Di Whaley.
I need to first unmute myself. Hi, everyone. So glad to be here and very happy to help out anyone I can. I am a Vice President of Quality Engineering. So what do? We make sure that our product goes through a quality check and deliver our customers the best quality we're able to. And so imagine everything that you use, you live with. Can you imagine anything without passing through quality, right? So software development is also certainly has that quality piece of it. And we employ a number of people with special skill sets from product knowledge to software development knowledge to make sure that the quality and for the software that we produce really meet the customer's definition of quality. So I'm hiring. So if anyone's interested into this work, interested in this job, interested in knowing how to break into this profession, I'm the person. I'm now can pass over to Joe.
Thanks, Di. Hi, everybody. My name is Joe Giannetti, he, him pronouns. My role here at Applied is the Vice President for Corporate IT. You've got a lot of IT people on this call here. And I think the way to explain corporate IT is in a software company, you have a lot of IT people. In regular companies, I would have the bulk of IT underneath what I'm responsible for. Our job is to help everyone, all the panelists on this call, as well as the rest of Team Applied, to be productive and to be able to do their jobs. And my teams include the service desk, so your typical help desk. I have an infrastructure team which handles all of our systems and applications, telecom, networking. As Sarah mentioned, we have the number of sites does keep changing with COVID. I think we have 16 or 17 sites around the world, and we got to keep them all connected and up and running. I've got an internal applications team that does application dev and a little bit of QA. So I kind of have a little bit of everything in there. Been here at Applied for 5 years, but have had a lot of different experiences, which I hope we get a chance to talk a little bit about later on in the call. But just happy to be here, and I'm going to turn it over to Syed. Syed, you need to unmute yourself, buddy.
Hey everyone, sorry about that. My name is Syed Hussain, he, him pronouns, and I'm the VP of Customer Success for the Indio Technologies product as part of the Applied portfolio. My job is to make sure that any client post the sales process goes through a really great experience, drives adoption, and finds that value in the product. And I introduce Courtney.
I don't think Courtney was able
on here
to join.
Let's actually jump back to Jason Serif, and then Courtney joins. We'll make sure she gets a chance to introduce herself when she's able.
Hi, everyone. Jason Serif. I'm the SVP of Development. Pronouns are he, him. And my role is really kind of setting technical direction for the organization. Spent a lot of time in meetings coordinating with all of the other lovely people on this call that I meet with on a regular basis, coaching and kind of mentoring other people in the organization. And every now and then they let me do a little bit of engineering work. So that's kind of what my day-to-day looks like. And I don't see Courtney, so I'll try to get us back on track. And let's jump to Joe.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, y'all. I'm Joe Dockery, based in Chicago, pronouns her, she. I lead the product operations team. My other titles are Chief Zookeeper, Herder of the Cats, Leader of the Goat Rodeo. I try to be the organizer of all things product. I find it to be incredibly engaging, also difficult on many days, but leading an operations team at any company really is all about finding some sort of order and structure and process and getting folks across the company going in the same direction, letting people know if decisions have been made and how we need to carry those out, trying to communicate across the entire company as to what's going on within the product world, across all of our different organizations, across all different time zones. So it's a fun job. It's a difficult job, but I love it. And one of those people that really keeps me straight is who I'm going to intro next, and that is Laura.
Thanks, Joe. My name's Laura Van Ighten. She, her are my pronouns. I'm a senior people partner here at Applied, and that means that I support the product, the IT organization, all the technology organization, and all things people related. So a lot of talent management, employee relations, and some policy and procedure stuff too. But overall, the goal is to support our people and our management teams to be successful. And I don't actually know who's next.
Jim.
Hi, Jim Connect. I'm the SVP of Cloud Services. My pronouns are he, him. I'm responsible for our global data center operations. We maintain 4 data centers today. Those data centers are what's used to host our applications that Sarah mentioned, all the different applications that our customers use to run their business. It's my teams that are responsible for making sure those applications are up and running every day for our customers to use. There's a number of teams within cloud services. There's network engineering, infrastructure engineering that covers service and storage, as well as application engineering that covers all of the applications that we host. And then we have admin groups that are responsible for the care and feeding of the applications and the systems. And with that, I think David Taylor is next.
Yeah, I'm David Taylor. I'm Vice President of Product Management for EasyLinks, which is one of the brands in the Applied family. My pronouns are he or him. So product management, like Sarah said, is about problem solving. So we define the problems and we come up with creative solutions for them, applying the technology and working with the engineering teams to make things better for our end customers. And I'm turning it over to Wayne.
Thank you, David. Hey, I'm happy to be here. I'm Wayne Bartleman, pronouns he, him. I've actually got two job titles. One is Finance Project Manager, where I kind of head up our R&D study, our stock valuation, 409A, any M&A type valuations associated with purchase price accounting, all the exciting stuff that is very tech related. My other job title is Procurement Manager, where I probably worked with everybody on this list directly. It's at some point helping to negotiate either software or hardware. So my goal is to try to get the best value that we can every time we negotiate something. So glad to be here. And then I think I was the last and probably least. Oh, Angela.
Don't forget me. Don't worry. I won't let you
forget. I was looking at the list. I did not see you on there. So
no, it's no problem. So Angela Penny, she, her pronouns. I will always take the stage if nobody else does. So that's just fine. I am a solution architect at Applied. And so that means that I work with developers. I came up as a developer and other architects, but also with product owners. And I've gotten to work with Joe and Sarah and Di and Jason and lots of great folks. So super fun to have a role like this. Loving the chat over here in the chat. So I hope we'll get to those soon. Really happy to be here. So thanks, everybody.
Fantastic. Well, I think, Valerie, you have a list of questions for us. And before we get started on that, I thought I would take a moment to address the comment that came in just now in chat. The comment, just in case folks haven't seen it, is, I don't see representation for Indigenous and Black people in the panel. Why is that? And I'm going to do my best to respond to that question and happy and open to take any question like this. The answer is, you're right. There is not a lot of representation in Indigenous and Black people in this panel, and there isn't enough representation of Indigenous and Black people in the leadership at Applied, and that is something that we understand and that we are recognizing and working hard to remedy. And we have been on a journey of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in this company for just over a year. It's a defining objective for us, a key part of our culture initiatives, and something we're working hard to address.
Yes, thank you for answering that. I know this is something that is not typical for the Tech by Choice community, so I understand that question. But I think it's important to, one, have companies that acknowledge that they have a problem. Two, work with companies that have done some of the hard work to say like, hey, we see that there's a problem. We're going and we're working hard to make a change. And the other thing is that our community needs answers. And again, this is not typical for Tech by Choice. So the fact that we found companies that are doing the work and are willing to support in a very authentic way is something that we like to see. So thank you again for that question. And if you have any additional questions for me around what's going on and the events that we do, please feel free to reach out. I'm here to help with that as well. So let's if we don't have any other questions or any other comments for that one, I will go ahead and move on to the questions that we have for the panel today. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I have like 7 tabs open at once and it's not hard to manage, not easy to manage. But the very first question that I wanted to ask is actually what skills do you have that help you excel at your job? Really we understand a little bit about what you do from your intros. So understanding the skills that you were able to build over time to help you get here would be extremely exciting to learn more about. And I want to pass this one over to Jason.
Yep. Jason, again, I'm from the talent acquisition area of the company. So I think in general, skills like positive attitude, be someone that people want to work with and work together with. That can never hurt you in any job that you have. Good communication skills. Make sure you know you don't have to be the life of the party, but having good communication skills to be able to communicate your ideas or to collaborate with other people is huge, especially for any job, but especially at a tech company, because all these people have to come together and to create solutions for our customers and to work together with our customers and things along those lines. So communication skills is a really important part of what we do. In talent acquisition, acting with the sense of urgency is critical because everything has to be done at a very short period of time. Hard work and never really being satisfied with doing the bare minimum, I think, is one of the things that's really crucial in growing your career. Being a good team player, helping those around you, not necessarily doing the work for them, but working together with them and being a positive contributor to your team, and being driven to learn more. So ask a lot of questions is always important. Learn from the people around you, especially if you're surrounded by a lot of good, talented people. You want to ask a lot of things, collaborate with those people and come up with good, solutions to problems. And overall, I think confidence is key, I think, to any job. Presenting yourself in a confident manner, and even if you're faking it or anything along those lines, not everybody feels confident about the work that they're doing or how they carry themselves or anything. But I think confidence is really important in doing a good job, but then also with your career as well. So you can't go wrong with any of those skills, having a good attitude or good communication skills or being a good team player in any job that you're really going to have.
I can add a couple things here too, and piggybacking what Jason said about faking it until you make it. I always tell people, fake it till you become it. You don't always know something, but the willingness to learn and become that is really important. I found it to be really beneficial in my career. I think another set of skills that have really helped me move up the ladder and just get into tech is being really detail oriented. When you can kind of see the larger picture and all the pieces that are going with it and how it's interconnected with different organizations, different parts of the client life cycle, it allows you to make sure that nothing is being missed. Right? And I can think 10 steps ahead when I pay attention to those details. And thinking 10 steps ahead helps me mitigate issues. For my boss, thinking it before he does. So he's like, oh, thanks, great. I really needed this, right? And he didn't realize it before. And so I think having that attention to detail has been really beneficial for me in my progression of my career and even just getting into tech. Is really important. There's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of things moving at the same time. So,
and I'd add to it, problem solving and kind of a mind towards continuous improvement, right? I mean, everybody on this call has very different roles, but we all solve problems, and we all have to kind of on a daily basis make things better for our teams and for the organization, as a whole. And those problems, while we're all in tech, those problems aren't always technical, right? They're business problems. Sometimes they're organizational and kind of political problems. Sometimes they're interpersonal problems that we have to work with each other to solve. And the key to that is really just always be working that problem and trying to make things better.
Yeah, I'll just throw a couple out there. I'd say number one, we really need people in IT who can understand the business. It used to be that if you were super high tech, that would be enough. And sometimes we would jokingly say we'd put those people in a room with a closed door and shove food under the door and just let them do their high tech work. But nowadays, IT people need to be hybrid. They also need to be business people as well. And that's really important. The other thing I just want to throw out there is fear of failure, especially in what my team does. You need to be really careful doing something to know that you're doing it right if you could take an entire company down. So that's a different situation. But part of leaning in on things is knowing that you're going to try things and they may not work out. You learn more from failing than you do from succeeding. So just being open to that and understanding that you're not always going to get it right, but you pick yourself back up and you learn from your mistakes and you move forward.
I think those are all really great answers. And it's sometimes some of those skills that you don't realize that are really important, such as communication and being able to really focus on problem solving, that helps you stand apart when you're going through the interview process. And looking at some of the questions that I'm getting in the channel, in the chat, as well as some of the feedback and answers that everyone gave, I would love to know throughout your journey, what did it look like, or what did your journey look like for you to get to the position that you're at now? Especially talking about some of the training that you were able to receive. Did you just the different ways that you were able to land this current job? And to start us off, how about we go with Joe?
Thanks, Valerie. So my background was very traditional, unlike Sarah, who I think threw in there in the chat that she started out as an insurance agent. I went to college for computers, got a degree in that and came out, but I went into consulting, which is a little bit of a different path, because in consulting, you get exposed to a lot of different things all at the same time. So when I think about my first 3 or 4 years of my career, I was a developer, I was a business analyst, I was an infrastructure guy, I was writing code, I was doing QA work, I was project managing things, I was architecting things, I did security work, and inherently I became a jack of all trades and a master of none, which early in my career I thought was a real problem, because when you're out looking for your job, you're like, well, I don't know what to call myself. And you always need to call yourself something. But the thing that it did is leading up through into a leadership position, I can sit with my team and I can talk to them and I can say, look, I've done your job. I know what's involved in it and I can help to be a better mentor. I would say for people trying to break into IT who didn't come through a traditional path, like a college undergraduate, there's a handful of things that you can do. There are a lot of courses and online training that you can do, but volunteer your time with an organization where you're not getting paid for it, but you're getting experience, and you take that experience and you start to parlay that into local businesses, volunteering to do stuff for them. You may not be making as much, but all that's building up an experience background. And then the number one thing I'll tell you when I'm hiring entry-level people, I'm looking for people who are passionate, who are hardworking, and who want to learn. And if I get those 3 traits in an entry-level person, those are the people that I'm looking to lean in and hire.
Like to jump into, Joe, like, so for me, I started out in college not with a computer science background, and now I'm a solution architect at a software company. I think that, for me, it was a lot of volunteering to try new things. And so, I came in as a developer, but I said, sure, I'll go on this customer call. Yeah, I'll do some tech support over here. I'll try this new tech stack that I don't know. So being willing to experiment and fail, I think is really part of kind of that learning journey. I agree that the finding things to use the technology really can help. So if it's something at work where you try to use a tech or try to do something different you didn't do, or something personal or a volunteer where you just start to dabble in these things and get more comfortable. But you absolutely don't have to come from a computer science background to do tech work. For me, have found that learning on the job is the way that I've moved forward in my career, and just try to always look for, those new opportunities and challenge myself to just try new things.
Yeah, like Angela, my undergraduate degree is not in computer science or anything to do with computers. So I started as an accountant for an insurance agency back in the early 1990s. And through some volunteer work, through some help from one of the engineers at my prior company, and through a lot of hard work, I was able to make a transition from accounting actually into engineering. And most of that was self-taught. So it's kind of I think as Joe was saying, if you've got kind of a passion for it and a desire for it, and the opportunities will come along if you're looking for them and are prepared, so that you can seize them, right? And then it's kind of what you can make of it after that. But it starts with a desire and a passion and hard work and determination and communication and all those things that will help you advance.
I think those are really great things to point out, but some of the things that our community tends to run into is the fact that we do have the positive attitudes, we do have the hard work and the willingness to do it. The issue that we tend to run into is the fact that there's still those barriers that we have to overcome. So being able to say like, okay, I took this course and I was able to learn how to use maybe a tool like Jira, or even being able to say that I got really good at being able to break down stories and explain why something was important to stakeholders. Those are the things that tend to really help members in our community thrive and make sure that we are setting ourselves up for success. So when we're talking about the skills that help you, if we could just reframe the questions and the answers, and with that in mind, I think that would be helpful. If anyone, does anyone else have anything that they would like to add for this question about their journey to their current position and how they got there? Okay, so we did get a lot of information there. So we can go ahead and move on to the next question. We talked a lot about some of the skills that you had to take, that you achieved or started to grow your skill set in different ways in order to reach where you're currently at. I would love to know how you were able to find ways to help you level up and get the job title that you currently have. I really want people to be able to take this question and your answers and use it as a way for them to understand how to create their own growth plan. So just talking about different projects, the type of projects that you worked on, talking about how you advocated for yourself, and just how you work with, how you deal with workplace politics in order to maneuver your way throughout these different positions that you had. So with that, keeping that in mind, I would love to go ahead and start off this question with, I believe it's Joe again? Or...
It's just another Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. My answer ties a bit back to the last question that you asked, but I think when it comes to continuing career growth, being very open-minded about opportunities that might not seem in your wheelhouse. So, and also admitting when you're not in the right space and you need to find something that's a better fit for your strengths and skill set. So, quick example, I started my journey in sales, and it turns out I am a terrible sales rep, really bad at it, but understanding that I care deeply about clients and a customer journey, I was able to advocate for myself to move into a customer support position and account manager, an area that I really thrived in. I thoroughly enjoyed it, was able to kind of get back confidence that I'd lost in missing my quota so many times as a sales rep, and feeling like as I continued to advocate and gain confidence in certain areas and skill sets, I began to feel comfortable in taking additional opportunities that came up. I think one thing when we talk about problem solving, one thing that really helped me in kind of the middle of my career was taking some Six Sigma training classes and Lean Six Sigma and understanding how to solve problems that way. It's a bit old school. I had a manager that was very GE heavy, and I know that might be going of the wayside these days, but it was a different way of thinking for me. And I felt that had a great impact on moving me into an operational field and some back-end operations. And again, I found ways to weave throughout various companies by accepting and learning about opportunities that were open to run a support team in London, to running an implementation team in San Antonio, to learning about integration and working with consultants. I found that with passion and with an interest, and having confidence that I could find a way to make an impact in any team I joined, I was confident in accepting or putting my name forward and then accepting positions that were open. And I find that a career path is not just a straight path. It can be very winding and take you in very surprising areas, and being willing and confident to go in those directions can lead to wonderful progression.
No, that's lovely. It's definitely, I know so many people who have said that they start out doing one thing, realize it wasn't for them, and moved over to doing something else that was better suited their skills and their interests. But I believe you used a term, you said GE. Can you explain what that is?
General Electric. Sorry, just one of my previous leaders came from the Jack Welch kind of very heavy Lean Six Sigma. We're going to have Kaizens every week to process improve things that don't need process improvement. It was a very heavy way of doing things. But again, it was a wonderful learning opportunity to learn a skill set that I never had before. And I find that I still will dig into those archives sometimes today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying. With the idea of leveling up and creating that your own career path, I know that there's multiple ways to do that, and wanted to know if anyone else wanted to share.
Yeah, I'll share a brief story, Valerie. For me, it was all about mentorships. I was fortunate throughout my career to, I call it, leech on to some really smart individuals and really absorb not just the technical skills they were passing down, because I think anybody can pick up on those skills, but it was really more on how to conduct yourselves, or yourself when dealing with a customer versus a peer. That really helped me level up quickly. It allowed me to process and take in the technology that I needed to know from a security perspective, from a privacy perspective. But more importantly, it taught me, it really allowed me to look at how I'm engaging the people I work with. And for me, I don't know how you teach that without just watching. For me, it was, I'm the typical picture's worth 1,000 words to me. So being able to watch and participate, slowly participate on calls and slowly participate in meetings as my mentors felt I was ready to level up to that next stage. And then obviously you got to take the commitment yourself, go back and do whatever training that's already been mentioned. I went actually back and got a graduate degree in my field. But I think it's just finding the mentorships. And just a valuable tidbit that I took from this was, one of my mentors once told me, he who owns the notes or she who owns the notes owns the room. And what he was trying to say was, if you go to a meeting, make sure you take very good notes, make sure you understand what everybody said, and you come away with that meeting with some kind of takeaway. Because ultimately, as we all know, with a lot of meetings in place, we forget things and people forget what's said. So that's kind of how that came down is, if you own the notes, you own the meeting. So that's just kind of how I always leveled up, was just getting in touch with really great mentors. And I'm hoping that's what we can do on this call as well, is stay in touch with a lot of people and mentor what we need to.
Yeah, mentorship is really key, especially when you're trying to fill in those gaps and understand what is expected of you in the workplace settings. Those things are a lot harder to learn. But I know with the security department industry, there's a lot of different things like certs that you can get, and different technical skill sets that people are sometimes overwhelmed with because there's just so many options. Do you mind sharing what your journey looked like going down that path?
You know, for myself, if that's what you're asking, it was just starting with basic networking skills, right? Everything traverses a network, whether it's a wireless network, a physical network, everything in tech traverses a network. So just becoming familiar with networking protocols, how the real, paths work, how packets are delivered, all those things, just understanding how the basic internet works, because it's the same applicable to some degree, standards to an in-house network or a hosting environment, right? So for me, it was really just understanding that. And then there's, as you mentioned, Valerie, there's a lot of security certificates out there. The first one I picked up was from ISC Squared. It's called the CISSP. Gosh, I can't even remember what the acronym means, but it's basically, you're basically a certified security professional for information security. And it used to be 10 methodologies, now there's 8 that you study, but that was a great one to pick up.
Awesome, thank you so much for sharing. And I know before I started talking, Courtney, I believe you're coming off mute.
Yeah, and sorry everyone, I was late for joining. My name is Courtney Rains, she, her. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Applied. The advice I'd kind of have around leveling up, and I'll be candid in that I've been incredibly fortunate, I'd actually say, in my career, in terms of having the opportunities to work with great people who'd be willing to let me level up, and also having really opportunistic moments in time by which I'd say I've actually had a pretty unique and accelerated career path that I'm pretty fortunate and appreciative to have. And one of the things that or a couple things that got me there, things I think are worth always considering, is I was taught really early in my career to have intense curiosity as a characteristic. So whether that be curiosity within my own field or domain, and I'd started in public relations, so whether it revolved around that specific area, or intense curiosity as I grew my career here at Applied relative to just different areas within marketing, to have the exposure, to have the skill set around what's sort of the base amount of information that I need to know about that functional area to be successful in managing that area, and having the curiosity to expose myself in projects to learn it. And then also I'd say in a technical capacity, having curiosity to learn about the products and the company and the business that we operate within. I'm in marketing, which I think typically people tend to think that it's really cool advertising or things like that, which part of it is for sure. But when you work at a technical company, you have to be confident enough and curious enough to expose yourself to technical minds to understand product readiness, product release, product development. By no means do I understand Kubernetes technology to the greatest extent. Do I have to understand it enough to be convincing and compelling of what we're going to say within the market? I do, and that takes a certain amount of kind of commitment to curiosity that I would encourage people to have, because that base level of sort of education and exposure can really help you level up your career as you're looking to find paths. And then I'd also say exposure as you're looking to kind of grow in your career, whether that be up or just out, is how can you expose yourself to different projects that are kind of cross-functional, cross-company, that might not be specifically within your domain, but expose you to different elements of leadership and communication styles and collaborations. And it's a different type of problem solving when you have to have your brains aligned with people that you wouldn't work with traditionally day in and day out. And having that type of exposure also creates advocates and mentors, as Dave had talked about. So creating that level of sort of curiosity and willingness to expose yourself more broadly into the company can either put you in a position by which you're seen as strong enough as a candidate to move up, or just puts you in a position to be exposed to opportunities that might create a new career path, sort of like Joe was mentioning. She obviously started somewhere and ended somewhere entirely different. If you expose yourself to those things, you have the curiosity to kind of dig into those types of projects. You can kind of forge your own path in a pretty willing and able way.
No, thank you for sharing that. Being able to kind of fill in those blanks and understand how to create that path. And curiosity is important, but also being able to say like, yeah, I had some help to get there, as well as I had to pad some of that help with some learning and skills to make sure that I could stay. I think that's really important to call out. Does anyone else have anything that they wanted to add for this question?
Nope. I think overall, just don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and to volunteer and to try new things. And always remember, like, I think some people, when they feel like they're stuck in their career or they want to be doing something different, if you come in and like just go to work and you don't ask any questions and you basically have to also have the attitude like you create opportunities for yourself. And how you do that is by some of the things that are recommended: mentor with people, network with people, learn new things, step outside of your comfort zone, and things along those lines too. So remember that there are a lot of people that help will get you there, but you are in charge of if you have to learn new things, or if you have to, if you're more vocal about it, like, hey, I want to learn something new, more people are going to give you those opportunities than if you sit there quietly hoping somebody comes up to you one day and gives you that opportunity too. So make sure that you take initiative to reach out to people and let them know, because a lot of times people are they're too worried about like, well, is someone getting mad at me if I ask? And a lot of the times people actually help you, go out of the way to help you if you reach out to them to try to create new opportunities or to learn new things and show some passion for what you're doing. And a lot of opportunities can actually start coming your way if you just kind of show a little additional initiative and things like that. So don't be scared. Like I said, feel free to jump out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, no, that was a great thing to call out. And it's a great transition for my next question. But before I jump into that, I think what you said, Jason, about going ahead and asking for help, something that we've already talked about before is being able to find sponsors or find mentors, so that sometimes it's hard to know who to ask for help or who can lead you to that next project. So being able to connect with a mentor or sponsor at work would be very important to be able to ask those questions and get the support you're looking for. But going on with that thought process, I would love to ask folks, how do you, if there's any advice you could give to someone who's looking to break into tech, any type of tech role too, what advice would you give them? And I think I would love to pass the mic over to Dyke for this one.
Oh, I think based on our conversation so far, everyone sums it up very well. If I sum it up, that would be love technologies and love continuous learning, love problem solving, and for quality assurance field, I'm looking for somebody who also has the traits who's got empathy for customers. And so those are the things I definitely emphasize for people: love technology, love problem solving, love continuous learning, and empathy for customers.
I think also, I've worked with some folks who had brilliant domain knowledge in something and then could bring that to other technologists and have that kind of be their foray into technology. So maybe they come in as a tech support person or even just a business owner, like what Joe talked about, and start kind of bringing in some of that, domain knowledge. And then that kind of creates that entree into the technology field too. So like we're all an expert at something, right? So finding whatever that thing is where we're the expert and then bringing that knowledge to bear to whatever that next new opportunity is.
Yeah, I should say support is one that's really good, and also especially the customer support and also IT support in Joe Giannetti's area. They're also very good. I never knew about quality assurance. Of course, I started my job as a developer, but evolved into quality assurance. And so normally to break into this field, sometimes you start from pretty much, or you can call it in the very entry level, into the entry level develop programmer or entry level customer support and IT support.
Really quick, I got into, I really wanted to be in tech. I was an account manager at a security company. I was like, I want to be in tech in San Francisco. Yep. And I was like, how do I get there? And I think what I realized is that you engage with so many people in your job. And I got my first job in tech at Zenefits because a customer from a security company that I was helping we developed a great relationship, good rapport. She could always rely on me. And then within like 6 months, she reached out and was like, you're going to get a call and you're going to be interviewing for an account manager role. And I was like, huh, I don't want a job, but oh my gosh, is this really happening? So I think just remember that I think in any line of work, you touch a lot of folks and you just don't know where that could lead. And developing those relationships is really important because it can come out of nowhere, you know?
Yep.
And Syed, that's very similar to what happened to me as well. And I'm so grateful for that. And I thank you for sharing that. I know we're closing up, but I did want to say to this group too that, you know, we talked a lot about mentorship and we talked a lot about sort of the values and hard work. That doesn't mean that you're always going to get the same opportunity. And I think it bears saying that unfortunately, there are opportunities made available to certain people and opportunities not made available to others. And so one of the things that I would encourage you to do is look for a sponsor. So go beyond mentorship and ask for someone to help you. And that's part of the reason why we're here tomorrow in the Tech by Choice Slack community. And you know, don't be afraid to ask us for what you need. And we want to see you succeed alongside us so that you can be our succession plan.
Real quick, I want to add one more thing. You know, you have the Tech by Choice community, you know, having, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank what I was just going to say. Basically, you want to get as many people and work with them to get your names. You don't know how many people for references that we've hired from other developers that have worked at Applied. So the more contacts you can make, the more people you learn. And now with COVID, you can work pretty much anywhere in the tech, right? You don't have to move from one state to another. So building those relationships, you know, getting people to know who you are, what you can do. And it was mentioned earlier by Joe Giannetti, you know, volunteering to get experience or looking for internships, whether they're paid or not, you know, that gets you some experience, but, you know, having those contacts with other people, you know, that does do a lot for you. So I would definitely, you know, utilize that if you could.
Yes, no, internships, apprenticeships, and things like that are always very helpful. I think for our community, especially for the Tech by Choice community, if you have that privilege or that opportunity to do that, definitely go down that route. Always look for paid over free, because again, our community unfortunately do not have the same privilege to work for free as often. So that's why we like working with companies like Applied Systems and other companies that we worked with in the past, like Bear.com, as well as Elasticsearch, who really work well with our community and find different ways to support. And again, I would just like to say thank you to everyone who has joined, our members, as well as all of our panelists who have given us some insight on what it's like to work in tech, as well as the different roles that people can have. Just so I can help close this up today, again, I do have the poll going to give us feedback on what you thought about the event. This is just initial feedback. When I will send out an email after this event, giving you details about some additional resources and links and fun stuff that I think would be helpful for you after this conversation, as well as links to our membership. So if you're not a Tech by Choice member already, please make sure you go to our website, go to our membership, and sign up to be a member. So that way you get access to our Slack. And tomorrow, the Applied System employees will be in our Slack. We have a Slack takeover. So if you have more questions and you want more feedback, you can definitely join the community and continue asking questions and getting the help you need to create your own tech journey. And so I said it earlier when we first started the event that there are a few surprises that I had left. One of those surprises, again, is the Slack takeover. But the other surprise is the fact that Tech by Choice actually got to work with an amazing artist a few months ago to create a coloring book. So we're really big on self-care and being able to find time to relax. And with the year that we all just went through, we thought it would be perfect for us to start focusing more on mental health and self-care. So in about like 2 days, the book is still being reviewed. It will be live, and I will be able to share a link with everyone on where they can view and possibly purchase this coloring book to help people create a self-care routine. So with that, I want to just make sure that if you haven't filled out the poll already, please give us feedback. If you have some like written feedback that you want to give, there will be a link in the email so you can let us know what you think. I'm trying to go through the chat right now to make sure I'm answering all of the questions that I see here. So this is a good question that just popped up in the Q&A. What are the panelists actively doing to sponsor Indigenous and Black people in their company or outside their company to have reparations in the tech industry? And I will, Sarah, I believe you might be the best person to answer this question.
Sure. I can only speak, I'll speak for Applied, and I'll speak for myself, and then any other panelists feel free to jump in. There are opportunities that we look for in like this one that allow us to share our expertise, to cultivate strong partnerships and relationships with individuals in tech. I became aware of Tech by Choice a couple of years ago through a friend, and monitor the Slack, as I can on a weekly basis in order to try and answer questions. There haven't been a lot of product management questions on there, but the hope for me is to build close one-on-one relationships to try and mentor and support. I'm also part of a roundtable organization that looks to do some similar work specifically in product management. Those are things that I do, and I am always looking for organizations that allow me to take what are good skills for me, which is a little bit different than coding and developing, but instead sales and marketing and product, and be able to help individually on a one-on-one basis. That's the approach that I've desired to take. From a company perspective, as stated, we are early in our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging work, but we are taking that seriously, and we have values in action that we uphold in the performance of ourselves and others that look to create opportunities for equity. And that includes a company mentorship program that we have established that we are formalizing in order to have leaders like those that you see on this panel be able to reach out and have meaningful relationships with those in our organization to lift up the voices of folks. I think that we have a lot of work to do, and I stated that earlier. We also are taking meaningful steps to make this panel look very different in the months and years to come.
Yeah, Sarah, mentoring is what I was going to say. I mean, both in the current organization and my previous organization, I just found that was a way that I could kind of take the journey side by side with someone and then answer questions as they were trying to move through the organization. I do that in, my private life as well. So there's lots of organizations and local groups where you can engage there. So I know I'm actively doing that, as well as engaged in our corporate ERG. So we are just starting in the DIB, but we have, our Black at Applied, where our associates are getting support from each other, and then also from allies in the community. And so those are some of the things that I am also doing to try to support those communities.
I think those things sound like an awesome first few steps to take in supporting different communities, different backgrounds, especially Black and Indigenous communities. Some of the things that I like to share with companies that I work with is being able to mentor individuals is great. But what we are looking for now, especially with everything that's going on, is not so much mentorship, but sponsorship, like we said already in this call during this panel, as well as being able to offer referrals for job openings. If you post your openings if you post your openings on platforms where you know diverse communities are, you make it easier for you to create a diverse candidate pool. So there's a number of other things that if you would like, the Tech by Choice community can help you start to create a more diverse candidate pool, and in return, a more diverse company, and make sure that people are willing to enter, stay, and thrive in your company. So if you want that extra support, definitely reach out. But I'm checking the Slack. I'm checking the chat. Everything is Slack to me now. I'm checking the chat, and I think we're all good for the questions. For those of you who are still here in the Tech by Choice community, thank you so much for staying. This has been a really great event. So I'm going to go ahead and end the live streaming and recording so that can be stopped. And if anyone would like to stay, I have about like 10 to 15 more minutes. If you have questions about how to go about landing a job in tech or have any additional questions, I'm here, especially if you have questions about how to become a Tech by Choice member to make sure that you're